What's going on, guys? Bengal King here, coming back at you with another video. Today we are back doing another mock draft. It has been some time, and as you can tell from the title, this will be the final mock draft I do. Maybe, like, you know, like, of course it's got to be the final mock draft. It's 4/19/19 as I record this. It's got to be the final one, but maybe it's not going to be. I don't know. If I do a final one, it might be on Twitter. It might be the day of the draft, but most likely this will be the final one. So if you guys are looking for more mock draft content, even after this mock draft is over, you're going to have to watch out for that on my Twitter, which is linked down below. Speaking of watching and linked down below, let's talk about Vincero for a moment. But when it comes to actual clocks, there is quite literally no better value than a Vincero watch. At Vincero, they sell directly to you, which means they're able to provide the same look and feel of luxury watches worth 10 times the price. But with over 15,000 5-star reviews, no one takes quality as seriously as they do. And there is nothing about a Vincero watch that is minimal or generic in any way, especially with the added ability to add custom engraving that works great as a gift or even to tell your own story. Vincero offers 6 collections for men and 4 collections for women, each with their own unique look. With plenty of colorways available in each collection and interchangeable straps on all of their watches, you are sure to find a watch that matches your style. The watch that I chose was the Chrono S Rose Gold that suits my style with its sleek appearance, excellent functionality. It isn't too flashy or over the top. Use code BENGAL for 15% off your entire order to get even more for less at VinceroWatches.com/Bengal. And remember, that's code BENGAL for 15% off your order. So huge shout out to Vincero for sponsoring the video. They are a great brand, and I am super excited to still be working with them. Great high quality watches at a very affordable price, given that quality. But let's go ahead and start with this mock draft. The first page here, 1, 2, 8, starting out with the Cardinals as they take Kyler Murray, #1 overall. I've wrestled around with a bunch of different outcomes, but it just seems clearer and clearer now that Kyler Murray will go #1 overall. He fits what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do. He's going to run a spread, maybe a hybrid air raid like he did at Texas Tech, and it just feels like Kyler Murray is the exact piece of the puzzle for Cliff Kingsbury that just Josh Rosen doesn't necessarily fit into that dream of theirs. And that's just speculation, but it seems more and more likely, and the Cardinals are not committing to Josh Rosen, which, I don't know, man. It seems sketchy. So I think the Cardinals might take Kyler Murray here. Is that the best move for their franchise when they spent a first-round pick and a high first-round pick on Josh Rosen last year? Remains to be seen. Will they trade Josh Rosen? Almost certainly if they draft Kyler Murray. I would assume 99.9% chance that they do end up trading Josh Rosen in the event that they draft Kyler Murray. Now, does he go to the Broncos or the Dolphins or even more likely the Giants or the Redskins? Again, draft night could be crazy. And I would say that the Cardinals should look to trade Josh Rosen ASAP because you're going to lose a lot of leverage once Kyler Murray's name gets called #1 overall, if it even does. This could be Nick Bosa. It could be Quinnen Williams. Could even be Josh Allen. Or that feels like that's it. But, I mean, draft night's going to be crazy this year. Also, a lot of people keep asking me, am I going to be streaming the draft this year? Are you going to be live on Twitch or YouTube? The answer is yes. I will certainly be streaming the draft this year. I will be live, whether that's on my Twitch, again, linked in the description along with my Twitter, or whether I start on YouTube and then move over to Twitch. We'll have to see how that goes. I'm not sure just yet, so make sure to follow me on Twitter for updates. And let me know in the comment section below, Twitch or YouTube. I think Twitch is a lot more fun sometimes, but YouTube could be the move as well. I just don't want to be misleading and have people think that I'm streaming the actual draft when it's just like a reaction party or whatever. As the 49ers go with the best player available, and that in this case could be Nick Bosa. They don't need an interior defensive lineman, really. And when they have such talent across that D-line, apart from the edge, I know they traded for D Ford now, but that does not solve the other side of that defensive line. You got to take BPA, and BPA for their needs is certainly Nick Bosa. He's the best player available, and he's the best player available for their needs. It's a win-win. Nick Bosa's a stud. He is going to go also out west with his brother Joey, although Joey, of course, is in Los Angeles with the Chargers in the AFC opposed to the NFC West. As the Jets go, Quinnen Williams, they cut Mike Pennell, dude, which makes no sense to me because they're sticking in the 3-4. I thought they'd be switching to a 4-3 because that's what Greg Williams runs on defense, but no. They're sticking in the 3-4. They cut their nose tackle in Mike Pennell. They have a big hole at defensive tackle. I know they brought in Ndamukong Suh for an interview or a workout or something, but he remains unsigned. They do not have a defensive tackle of any starter caliber on the inside, apart from Leonard Williams. And that's only one interior defensive lineman. In a 3-4, you're rocking with 3 of them. They have one. They have one. Quinnen Williams would make a ton of sense. A guy that can shift over, play maybe the 3 tech, 1 tech, maybe even line up over center. Really, really talented player. Quinnen Williams can kind of do it all. Exceptional pass rusher and very adept at stopping the run as well. Reminds me a lot of Fletcher Cox. As we move on to the Raiders, they go Josh Allen, a versatile player here. I like him on the edge, but I think he can be best in a hybrid role where he does stand up and maybe defend the flats in some instances, kind of as like a 3-4 outside linebacker, because he just doesn't have the pass rush moves at the moment. It doesn't really have a plan before rushing the passer. I think he can develop into a great edge rusher. Right now, he's not polished, but that athleticism is super, super tempting. Piece of clay that, you know, John Gruden or whomever can mold, I should say. Like, what, Paul Gunther's a DC there now? Has been for the past 2 years, I believe. As the Bucs go with Devin White, linebacker out of LSU. Incredible athlete. Has some good size for the position. I believe he's 6 foot, 235, 240 pounds, probably 240 pounds, with unreal athleticism and speed and sideline to sideline range. Just a little bit raw right now as a linebacker, but that's kind of what Quan Alexander was coming out. And Devin White's a better athlete, pound for pound, tested better than Quan Alexander. And the Bucs lost Quan Alexander. Why not replace Quan Alexander with a better version of him when coming out? We know they love their LSU linebackers. We know that they do. They drafted Kendall Beckwith as well, right? So, I mean, why not take another one? Why not bring Deion Jones down to Tampa Bay as my favorite team? The New York Giants goes Dwayne Haskins. I had this penciled in as Jawan Taylor, but I just feel like if the Giants are really dead set on selecting a quarterback, they're not going to wait until 17 and pray that their top guy is available. Whether that's Dwayne Haskins, hopefully not Daniel Jones, but we'll see, or Drew Lock. It's going to be interesting. I do think that the Giants, knowing that there are teams drafting behind them that they could take a quarterback, the Broncos, the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Redskins, before they pick again at 17. So they go Dwayne Haskins here at number 6 overall to be the understudy to Eli for maybe half the season or whatever it ends up being. The Jags go with Jawan Taylor, arguably the best offensive lineman in the entire class, an athletic right tackle. Plugs in perfectly for the Jaguars, who are looking to protect that new 4-year, $82 million man in Nick Foles at quarterback. They improved their offensive line at a very much-needed position of right tackle. They cut Jeremy Parnell earlier in the offseason. And the Lions wrap up the top 8, selecting T.J. Hockenson, a versatile tight end with excellent run-blocking ability, good route running, great size, great hands, really a do-it-all tight end, and this is everything that the Lions wanted Eric Ebron to be, and T.J. Hockenson is a way better prospect than Eric Ebron is. So, Matt Patricia, knowing how good a very good tight end can be for an offense, even though he was a DC in New England, you know, of course, working with arguably the best tight end ever, top 2, top 3 in Rob Gronkowski. I think probably number 2 behind Tony Gonzalez, just because you can't take away those yards and that productivity over such a long period of time. But arguably Gronk is the most dominant tight end to ever do it when he was at his most dominant and healthy. That's a conversation for another video. Let me know if you want something like that. But yeah, TJ Hockenson is a game changer. I think Matt Patricia is going to know that. And TJ Hockenson goes to the Lions here at number 8. At number 9, the Buffalo Bills go Rashawn Gary. I don't know, man. I don't know. I struggled so much to find a team that I'm like, this makes so much sense for Rashawn Gary, but I don't know if the team wants to use him as an edge or as an interior defensive lineman. I like Rashawn Gary the most as an IDL on the inside, playing 3-4 defensive end, or maybe even 4-3 defensive tackle. I feel like that best suits his skill set, but everyone keeps talking about him as an edge rusher. I just still don't see it. I know he played the majority of his snaps on the edge at Michigan, and he was wildly unsuccessful in that role. was double teamed a lot, but I just feel like his traits, his ability, his strength, his explosiveness, he just fits the profile more of an interior defensive lineman. And he's versatile enough to play on the edge when needed. So for the Buffalo Bills that greatly need to improve that defensive line as a whole, why not take a versatile player that can kind of do it all across that defensive line? And I wanted to give them offense here. I wanted to give them a stud playmaker or a better offensive line. But Rashawn Gary at number 9 just felt like the right pick in a best player available sort of mindset here for the Bills if they'd like to do that. As the Broncos go with Ed Oliver, defensive tackle out of Houston, could also be in play for the Buffalo Bills at number 9. Just kind of depends what they want to do. They might opt for that versatility over maybe a pure defensive tackle on the inside like Ed Oliver is. Oliver is a stud. I love Ed Oliver a lot. He needs to develop pass rush moves. Doesn't really have that, but he is so powerful, so strong at the point of attack, so quick. He is a very talented player. I think sky is the limit for him. I really hope he doesn't bust, man. I would be so bummed out. Ed Oliver's been awesome to watch at Houston. He's the only reason why turning on a Houston game makes sense, or at least has been over the past few years. They were decent, but I don't know. Ed Oliver's just a stud, a transcendent talent, really. And for the Broncos that need to upgrade that offense, or excuse me, that defensive line, I should say, Ed Oliver makes a ton of sense. The Bengals go Jonah Williams. I thought about Dwayne Haskins at this point originally, but Dwayne Haskins is off the board. It's not in play. So that leaves Drew Lock or Daniel Jones if you're looking at a quarterback, more than likely. And they opt to say, we'll take our chances in the second round. We're going to improve our offensive line for whomever our quarterback might be. And it still might be Andy Dalton. Still might be Andy Dalton. They are not forced into taking a QB here, even with a new quarterback, or excuse me, a new head coach, new quarterback's coach as well, I would assume, down the line, if they have not already. But yeah, Bengals go Jonah Williams. They need to improve that offensive line greatly. They had, 3 free agent right tackles? They bring in Jonah Williams. He can play left or right. Slide Cordy Glenn over to the right side if you need to. It's just a major improvement on the offensive line. Jonah Williams also slide inside to guard. Versatile offensive lineman, kind of do it all. Very, very good player, and the Bengals improve a much-needed position. As the Packers go with a weird selection. I haven't seen this talked about. I haven't seen anything about this anywhere for Cody Ford to the Packers. But they do need to improve their offensive line. And with right tackle being a huge hole for them, I know they signed Billy Turner to maybe be that right guard. But as for a right tackle, they have a huge question mark at that position because their current starting right tackle, who, one, has some injury concerns, also is a free agent at the end of next year. Cody Ford is arguably the best offensive lineman in this class. I'm a huge Cody Ford believer. I saw what he did at Oklahoma on a week-to-week basis, and he is an absolute stud. Also was one of the most exciting offensive linemen to watch in tape study just because he's so powerful and such a bruiser. But with Brian Bulaga getting up there in age and being a free agent, I believe, at the end of next season, they could certainly look to go with a very good offensive lineman. Again, another versatile one. It's the theme of this draft. There's so many versatile offensive linemen. Cody Ford is in play here for the Packers as they look to upgrade their offensive line, and they do just that with a stud at number 12. At number 13, the Dolphins go Montez Sweat. He's getting a lot of hype. I just don't see him as a top 10 player in this class. He could go top 10. He just tested so well, dude. His tape is solid, not exceptional, but solid. You guys will see my big board and my positional rankings for where Montez Sweat actually ends up ranking. But for the Dolphins, who could use the help on the edge, they go with one of the best players available for them, and they do end up taking Montez Sweat. I think that's a fun pick. May not be the right pick, but it's a fun pick. Montez Sweat's a good player, man. I'm not looking to take anything away from him. He is good. I just think he's being a little bit overrated at the moment. But again, he still is really good. So not looking to take anything away. Still a stud. As the Falcons go Christian Wilkins at number 14. Here's the deal. Long and short, add a Clemson defensive tackle to play next to a Clemson defensive tackle. Christian Wilkins is a beast. He'd probably go top 10 in a lot of other draft classes. Certainly would go top 10 last year. He is so talented, and Grady Jarrett is playing under the franchise tag. He may very well not be in Atlanta next season, or 2 seasons from now, I should say, after next season. After this, see, you guys get what I'm saying. He's on the franchise tag. So Christian Wilkins, very good player. They help out on their defensive line and potentially replace a huge hole if Grady Jarrett goes and tests free agency next year, if they don't tag him again or whatever. Redskins on the clock at number 15. Go with DK Metcalf. Kind of weird. I don't know, man. I feel like teams are going to be more willing to pass on a wide receiver knowing how deep this wide receiver class is. So I don't know if teams are going to be pressured into taking one that high. DK Metcalf is a fantastic athlete and is more agile than anyone's giving him credit. Watch him on tape, dude. He gets in and out of the top of his route pretty quickly. He can run a bunch of different routes, but most likely you're going to run him as a deep threat. And for short, explosive plays underneath to kind of turn upfield. Very good player. I like DK Metcalf a lot. Think he has boom potential for sure. Not really going to say bust, but the Redskins, unfortunately for me, since I'm a Giants fan, get a very hard player to defend against in DK Metcalf. And the Panthers, I've been mocking this for a while, man, but it just feels so right still. I feel like if any team is perfect for a player in this entire draft, it is Clelin Ferrell with the Carolina Panthers. If I had to bet on any pick happening on draft day, and I've had this for months, Clelin Ferrell to the Carolina Panthers. I think he's a top 5 player in the draft, top 10 player in the draft. I think he's so talented, and for the Panthers, who need edge so badly, get a stud here. Keeping Clelin Ferrell pretty local from Clemson to the Carolina Panthers, not very far at all. It just seems like it makes too much sense. So Ferrell goes and rounds out the top 16 to the Carolina Panthers. At number 17, my favorite team is back on the board, and this pick would, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'd probably go from half chub from just the NFL draft in general to full-on rock hard in an instant if Brian Burns' name is called on draft night. Burns is so exciting. He's so good and he's so versatile. He's a stud athlete with exceptional pass rush moves. He's a good run defender. I could see him going so much higher, but I've seen him go so much lower. I don't know, man. If he's available, the Giants have to pull the trigger. He is so talented. He's a top 5 player in the draft for me. I really was questioning his weight going into the combine, and that was a big concern, that him playing at 230 pounds over this past season at Florida State. But he went up to 249, 250, stayed an athletic specimen. Brian Burns to me is one of the best players in the draft, and I would be stoked if the Giants took him at 6 even, let alone 17. Vikings on the clock, they go with Dalton Risner. A versatile offensive lineman, can play right guard or right tackle for them. Those are 2 positions of need. Not going to spend too much time on that. Titans take Noah Fant. I don't think their tight end play is, terribly bad. But at the end of the day, this is a really solid player. I don't know how much longer he would last in the draft if the Titans don't take him here. And when they have an aging group at tight end, I know Delanie Walker is certainly not the player he used to be. But I don't know how you could really pass up on such a stud at this spot. Noah Fant is another do-it-all tight end. And when they have, 35-year-old Delanie Walker, he could even be older at this point. I think he's 35, though. And then pretty much nothing behind him. Jonnu Smith has not been good. You gotta take a stud when he's available. You can still run 2 tight end sets even. Noah Fant, this is your option for the future. Maybe you wait and take Irv Smith or something if he's available in the 2nd round, but he might not be. Noah Fant's a stud. Probably a top 20 player in the draft, so the Titans taking him right around his range. Steelers, go Devin Bush. Probably my number 1 linebacker in the class. I know that's going to hurt some feelings. Devin Bush is more polished than Devin White. They're both incredible athletes. I don't know why Devin Bush isn't getting the hype that Devin White is. I really don't. Maybe you could say that Devin White has a higher ceiling, but they're both incredible athletes. And Bush has been playing the position for longer and knows what he's doing more. I think he's less likely to bust. He's just such a stud player. And the Steelers basically get their Ryan Shazier V2. He's just so good. Seahawks, go Greedy Williams. This is a prototypical Seahawk pick in my opinion. He's a big cornerback, or I should say a big frame. He's 6'2". He's got great speed. Now, is he as physical as cornerbacks in Seattle traditionally are? Maybe not, but he's a very talented player. Big frame, high potential. I think, unfortunately, a low floor. A lot of people are going to be upset that I had no cornerbacks going before 21. I just don't know if this cornerback class is exceptional. Well, I know it's not. I don't know when the first cornerback could go. It could be top 10. It could be 21. Greedy Williams goes to the Seattle Seahawks here, and the Ravens take A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is so good. He can play in the slot. Most people are not giving him the credit he deserves to play on the outside, but he is fantastic in that role as well. He's a huge body, and I don't mean that like he's 6'5". He's only about 6 foot, maybe 6'1". I forget what he measured in the combine, but he's like 230 pounds, and he moves like a freight train. This is a yak monster, and for Lamar Jackson, who is probably going to be limited back-to-back years in this Ravens offense. They're going to want to go short, play a really yak, yards after the catch, heavy scheme. He makes a ton of sense. It's a good weapon, especially, I mean, A.J. Brown's a good jump ball receiver as well. This is a do-it-all player for the Ravens and would immediately become their best receiver. I don't think that's up for debate. Texans at number 23 go Andre Dillard. Arguably the best tackle in this class. I know that sounds wild that he's going all the way here at number 23, but he could be better than Jawan Taylor in some areas, or even Jonah Williams, Cody Ford, if you consider him a tackle, which I don't know about, or Dalton Reisner. But I just think some scheme fits work better than others, and that's why I have Reisner going ahead of Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard here to the Texans, it's another one that feels right. They need the offensive line help. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Raiders at 24 with their second of their 3 first-round picks. I believe I had them taking Jeffrey Simmons last time. I'm going Josh Jacobs. This is another top 20 player in the draft for me. I'm releasing my big board sometime this week. I got to put it together, man. I finished the positional rankings. I just got to figure out where each one fits in. Josh Jacobs is a stud. Running back just doesn't matter as much as it used to. That's why these players fall so far down the board. And I could see him going higher. He could be the one huge draft day surprise where he goes in the top 10. That'd be my draft day surprise prediction. Josh Jacobs in the top 10. But if he's available here for the Raiders, need a running back. Josh Jacobs to the Raiders it is. At number 25, the Eagles go with a track star, Paris Campbell. This is basically an upgraded Nelson Aguilar. He's a good route runner, and he's got tremendous speed, and he's another weapon for Carson Wentz to utilize. Paris Campbell, and kind of a surprise pick here for the Eagles. I think they could go offensive line, but they might be in a best player available situation considering how solid their roster is as a whole. So Paris Campbell, another big weapon, and when I say big, I don't mean necessarily tall, obviously, but I think he'd complement Deshaun Jackson very, very well. It'd be 2 really, really hard players to account for. And if you have Paris Campbell essentially learning under Deshaun Jackson, that's what Paris Campbell needs to aim for, is what Deshaun Jackson has been able to accomplish in the NFL. I think this is a match made in heaven for the Philadelphia Eagles at 25. They basically get their Deshaun Jackson of the future. I'd hate to see that as a Giants fan, but I think that's very cool for the Eagles, even though I, again, hate that. Colts at 26 go Deandre Baker. His tape's good, man. That's all I got to say. He didn't look good at the combine. Didn't test all that well in general. Heard his pro day wasn't all that great in terms of athletic testing, but his tape's good. That's what it comes down to. The Colts kind of did a lot with a little last year, and they could use any upgrade they could get. Deandre Baker to the Colts, I think, is a very much-needed upgrade at cornerback. Make a good pairing with Pierre Desir. Pierre Desir played really well last year. That was the big surprise for me of the year, is how good Pierre Desir was. I remember him being an absolute stud. Didn't put up the interception numbers, but he was locked down on a week-to-week basis from what I remember. At number 27, the Raiders go Byron Murphy. Spoiler alert for the cornerback video. This is my favorite corner in the class. Very instinctive, very good zone cover corner. Has developed some man tendencies, or man capabilities. He's shown them, I should say. He played in a zone-heavy scheme in Washington and excelled greatly in that role. I think he'd be a very good combo with Gary and Conley, and they get 2 young stud cornerbacks on that team. I think they could do a lot of special things. If you look at the Raiders, 2 or 3 years down the line with the amount of draft capital, the amount of money they have. They brought in Antonio Brown, who's a piece of shit, by the way. Just in general, that guy's a douche. But they bring in Byron Murphy, unrelated. I just needed to say some of that stuff. But what a beast. Byron Murphy, the Raiders at 27. Chargers go Draymond Jones at number 28. I've gone back and forth a lot on this pick. I almost had this be Jeffrey Simmons. I just think they're going to look for someone that can play now, given their current status with Phillip Rivers aging a little bit. He's still playing very well. I'm not saying he's not. He is aging. Everyone's aging, to be fair, but Phillip Rivers is older than a lot of us. Phillip Rivers, they need to take advantage of his abilities right now if you're the Chargers. Draymond Jones can play right now. Jeffrey Simmons can't. Is Jeffrey Simmons a better player than Draymond Jones? I fully believe. But Draymond Jones here to the Chargers is the pick because he is healthy. And sometimes the greatest ability is availability. Chiefs go Jonathan Abram at number 29. Very do-it-all safety. Has shown the ability to play over the top. Probably not his best role. This is Eric Berry V2. He can play in the box. He can play slot cornerback. He can do whatever you need him to. Jonathan Abram plays at 1,000 miles per hour, and he does so pretty controlled. It's controlled chaos. Jonathan Abram is one of the most fun players to watch in the entire class. He is going to tear up the NFL, in my opinion, if he can control that chaos even more and just keep playing at that high speed, kind of work out some of the kinks, develop his cover abilities. But I've talked about it time and time again. Egg Bowl, Jonathan Abram, Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. Some of the best tape I've ever seen of any safety. And he's not consistent in that, but that game was incredible. He didn't make one mistake. Packers go Hollywood Brown. I've had him in the first round. I've had him out of the first round. Just feel like he'd be a very good match with Aaron Rodgers, a deep threat. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't exactly love throwing over the middle, but if you have Hollywood Brown to take the top off the defense, I could definitely see him going at the end of the first round. Another guy with injury concern, but another huge weapon for Aaron Rodgers. And I think he complements Devontae Adams really, really well. Rams go Garrett Bradbury. Not going to spend too much time on this. Garrett Bradbury's a stud. Really, really solid center. And the Rams lost their starting center. You got to keep that offense good, man. John Sullivan isn't going to replace himself. Garrett Bradbury is the pick here for the Rams at 31. And I even think he's going to go earlier. But do I? Because I have him at 31. I don't know. 32 to the Patriots. I have Irv Smith Jr. I had this as Jeffrey Simmons until 2 minutes before recording this video. I just think that given the teams selecting behind the Patriots here that could take a tight end, and that's the Cardinals in the second round, that's the Raiders, that's the Jaguars, the Patriots don't pick again for a while. All those teams could take tight ends, and even more. Bills are another team that could take a tight end. The Broncos even could take a tight end. The Bengals could take a tight end. The Lions, if they don't go Hawkinson at 8, could take a tight end at 43. The Packers at 44 could take a tight end. The Patriots, if they want one of the top tight ends in this draft, and I think there's a significant drop-off after 3 in Irv Smith Jr., they need to take a tight end and just bite the bullet on Jeffrey Simmons. The Patriots are another win-now team, and who knows if Jeffrey Simmons is even going to play this year. Irv Smith Jr. is the pick for the Patriots, the replacement to Rob Gronkowski. Gigantic shoes to fill. Great route runner, decent hands. Probably got to work on that blocking a little bit, so maybe he's not a Patriots player. I don't know. We'll have to see. That's going to do it for me, guys, in this mock draft. I hope you enjoyed the draft content on this channel so far this year. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already for more, because I will be live streaming during the draft. I will have more top 10 positionals going up before the draft, and I will have my big board going up before the draft, so you guys can all hate on that and say, oh, number 1, the Cardinals aren't taking him at number 1. I don't know what a big board is. Thanks for watching the video. Take it easy.